every day we sit here with all joy because we know at the end of the day something will be achieved. A narrative will be addressed and readdressed because we all aim to be better persons, better people, better citizens. And most especially, we all aim to love ourselves and love other people. Now, talking about love, some time ago, years back, when I was doing psychology, the lecturer came in and taught us about the ABC model of attitude. And he says it's the affective, the behavioral, the cognitive. I know that the educationists will also tell you behavior is also psychomotor. But that translates to how you think about people, feel about people, ask about people. Now, the tricky part of that is sometimes we're not very okay with some of those domains or components, if you call it that. And we do not realize that it is our problem. We take it out on other people. And it can be very overt. It can also be very covert. The overt is obviously what we are used to when we talk about domestic violence, physical violence, abuse on people, physical abuse on people. That's what we're used to. But do you know that the very dangerous one that is killing people, driving people into suicide, driving people into dementia, driving people into depression, it's the covert abuse. We want to look at it. And very importantly, we also want to see who is really the abuser. How do they abuse? And then at the end of the day, we get to find out how can we redress that behavior. I also want to share with you that when we take off, we'll be joined by the AIG of police, and she'll be telling us a whole lot happening within the police, environments to help. I just found out Joy is abusing me with that cough. What did I do? I'm talking, you're coughing. It could be a covert abuse.
No, not feeling too well, but I had to be here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know this is one topic that you and I debated a lot over the week.
Yes, we have.
It's important because a lot of us are going through it without knowing.
A lot.
Hello, Coach.
Hi. Good morning.
Good morning. And I just want to know, I was talking with somebody and she said, I told them that I don't think I have been, covertly abused. And she told me I was lying. And she took me through, some things that made me understand that, yes, at every point, at one point or the other, I may have had it. And I'm wondering, have you had such experience, Devon? Good morning. By the way, you look very, very colorful.
Thank you. Thank you. I decided to go with my agbada today.
And you did something quite different too. Your hair.
Yes,
it's not falling all over.
Yes,
I
decided to take it off my face. The heat is too much. Covert abuse. I think that's a simpler way would be saying hidden abuse.
Yes.
Well, when we get to talking about it, then I'll be able to identify and know which one I've experienced, and then maybe which ones I've subjected other people to.
That's it.
Yeah,
Yes, because sometimes we might be the abuser and not even know.
Yes.
Okay, but I want to go to Coach because I know you've done a whole lot of work in this. In fact, I was part of your show sometime in May. It was May 1 because I was actually angry. Why did you fix it on Labor Day? But then I enjoyed myself very well. When we talk about covert abuse, I want to be sure which areas it covers. Is it something that happens at home? Is it something that happens in the offices?
Everywhere.
Is it something that happens in the church? What are the forms?
It happens everywhere, actually. Covert abuse is a very silent abuse. Like you said, most people know about the physical abuse, which is usually obvious because it leaves bruises, it leaves marks. But covert abuse does not leave physical damage. It leaves emotional and mental damage. So it's basically emotional manipulation, it's financial control, it's reproductive coercion, and even, just like you said, psychological abuse. So these are things that happen with our people. Sometimes people are even being abused, they don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they don't know.
They can be abused. Okay, yes. I think that's actually what happened until somebody cleared me. Yeah. I didn't know I had actually had been a victim.
And it happens everywhere. It happens at work, it happens at the home, in the church, in the mosque. It's everywhere. And especially, you see, to be honest, our culture is an enabler of many of this abuse, especially in marriage. because there are things that have happened all from time immemorial, especially to women. You know, and it's not regarded as abuse because it has always been like that. Especially, for example, there are women who there was a story online about a woman whose father was really ill. She wanted to go see her father, and her husband refused.
Yeah.
That's a psychological, yes, psychological and emotional social abuse.
What was the reason for that?
Control.
Control, to be honest.
It's control.
And then there are men who will not provide and will not allow the women to fend for them to even go out. So that's economic and financial control. It's an abuse. You know, these are things that happen every day in the workplace. There is psychological abuse. There are bosses who verbally attack their subordinates, who make you belittle you, demean your work. You know, these are all forms of abuse. So they happen everywhere, actually.
No, I have had abuses, and it's really bad. You know, from color to size to not being married, everything. You know, they like to, you know, how do you go to a gathering and they're telling you experience is the best teacher? You cannot give an advice because you're not married, you know. And you know, it's the way people just open their mouth and just say certain things. Oh, you don't have a child, I don't know how people do it, you know. But the thing here is that you see, in this society, you have to decide that nobody's going to bring you down.
Yeah.
You would decide and say that society cannot define me.
True.
I have to define myself. So I have battled it for years, a long time, from secondary school, and it's been a terrible one. But you see, the thing here is you have to believe in yourself. You have to fight it, because when people know that you can fight it, they will not come after you again.
All right, Director, if you're ready, I think I have 2 more guests joining us from another studio. I would want to introduce them, but I'll be breaking the protocol of our program here. Let me quickly let them introduce themselves. But I know that Fatima is there. Fatima, quickly introduce yourself.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me. My name is Fatima Ango, and I head the Learning Strategy Unit at the CBN. I am a lifelong learning advocate and a women empowerment advocate. So this is dear to my heart. Thank you.
All right, Fatima has a lot of experiences to share with us, and also help coping mechanism on how to manage this issue, because a lot of times things that happen around us is influenced by the experiences we have heard, you know, covertly. And besides Fatima, I know that another advocate and somebody who is doing something seriously beautiful within the society is joining us, Kurelema. Sean Ma, sorry. The world wants to know who you are.
All right, thank you very much for having me on this very, very important conversation. I am AIG Aishetu Abubakar Baju, MNI. I'm the first gender advisor to the Inspector General of Police. It is a great privilege and honor to be on this program.
Thank you very much. And I know that behind the camera, I'm told a whole lot the police is doing to protect the female gender. With time, you're going to spill all of that out for us. But for starters, let's take an overview of covert abuse.
Abuse comes in different forms, and sometimes both the person at the receiving end of the abuse and the person dishing out the abuse may not be aware of the abuse going on. Diverse forms of abuse exist. However, one is not easily identified, and so it is often overlooked. That form of abuse is called covert abuse. Covert abuse is a subtle yet harmful form of emotional manipulation where abusers use tactics like gaslighting and love bombing to control others without obvious aggression. Unlike other forms of abuse, covert abuse can be difficult to identify because of its subtle nature. It is a manipulation tactic that dominates and controls a person within an intimate relationship. This form of abuse is discreet, and it leaves victims with a sense of confusion and self-doubt as they navigate through a maze of psychological manipulation and subtle power dynamics. Sometimes, especially in our African setting, covert abuse is overlooked and has led to a lot of destruction of oneself or even others. Here are 10 signs that a person is being abused covertly: isolation, gaslighting, emotional manipulation, passive aggressiveness, emotional neglect, giving silent treatment, constant criticism, withholding affection, giving backhand compliment, and financial control. If you think you're experiencing covert emotional abuse, you should remember that it is not your fault. And so you should seek professional help by prioritizing your safety, engaging in self-care, set boundaries, amongst other measures. Since other forms of abuse are easily identified, it might take a while to convince yourself and so others that you're being abused because of the subtleness of covert abuse patterns. So you should trust your gut and speak to someone immediately to ascertain that you're not being abused. If need be, create a logbook or diary and document all that is being done to you to be able to present it as evidence of your abuse.
Thank you very much. And for starters, I want to go straight to Aisha to share a bit of the things you've been able to, get to the women or get from the women. What are the, key factors? I know you're working in a financial house. How does money play out when it comes to, abuse? Let's talk to Aisha. Fatima, sorry. Fatima, can you hear me?
Yes,
All
thank
right.
you.
Let's
Thank you
talk to
very
Fatima.
much. Thank you very much. We think that behind all those doled up jackets and suits or made up faces that women who are financially independent are not abused. That is a very wrong perception. Behind all that, people still abuse women. Within the workplace, how many times have you excelled at a task or an activity and all that is noticed is how beautiful you look? Women cannot have brains, or what? And then there are issues around women within the childbearing age having to juggle responsibilities and are also expected to perform at optimal levels. Our organizations are not family friendly. Why is that so? This is 2025. There should be crutches at every company, every institution, every organization to help women, to support women to be able to also give their best to the organizations. Women struggle. We're at the bottom of the economic chain. Yeah. But then there are a lot of things that are being done to get us up there. But then there are so many women who, even when they get their salaries, I know women that transfer everything to their men.
Is it a lie?
They do not have control.
Yes. I'm paid salary, I transfer everything.
Yes.
Oh.
And then he'll give you what
you heard that right.
Gives you what you want.
All those are forms of abuse. And we have to support women to get out of it. Organizations, the judiciary, the police, my sister is right here, and women support groups. We need to let women know that they are worthy of owning their wealth.
Okay.
Why would you buy a land and put somebody else's name? Yes. Don't you have a name?
Bam.
You have a name, and your name should be prominent there too. There are many instances, I can go on and on, but then
let's give you a breather there and come back to first. There was something she actually said that is a bit confusing for me. I mean, I'm paid salary, and I have to transfer everything to my husband's account, and from there he gives me.
Yes.
Is it what kind of pressure is that?
It's not pressure.
It's love.
It's not just love, it's control. It's not just love. You see, I don't know how it happens, to be honest, because me, I hear them. As we hear them,
I get people where they do.
Even me, I get people I hear say they do them.
They do them.
It's strange to me because perhaps being Muslim, I was raised with the awareness that I had total control over my finances. So it's odd when I hear that it does happen. So why does it happen? To be honest, I don't know. But I think it takes a level of manipulation and control to get a person to give her whole earning. You see, it's different if you give a part of your earnings to your husband, but to actually give everything to him, and then he would determine what you will use. Honestly, it's even for me, it's a new one. But I don't
Coach,
know.
I still want to find out, because Deva was talking earlier. She mentioned about getting to find out details of forms of this thing, so that maybe she too can tune in and find out if she has been, abused. What are those telltale signs that somebody is being abused?
Okay, let's start with the financial abuse. A situation whereby you are in a relationship, it could be marriage, it could be family, you are not allowed to earn. You see, this is a bit dicey, especially for northern Nigeria. I've had situations where women say, okay, there are men who cannot fend for their families, and then the women want to even plait hair. So they're not leaving the house to go and do it. People will just come into the house, but they will earn money, and then the men will still not let them do it. But why? Because they're afraid if she has more money, she'll become disrespectful.
Empowered.
It's a mindset. So many men feel...
it's luxury. Baby girl life.
But how is it baby life?
So is it an abuse?
I'm talking about women who are trying to make money to feed.
Oh.
Baby girl life is for me and you. I'm talking about people, a mechanic, a driver, his wife, whose husband can barely feed the family, and maybe has 2 or 3 wives. And then she wants to plait hair inside the house, or she wants to sew cloth for neighbors so that she will earn something, and he will still say no. So you see, this is an example of financial control. For example, again, manipulation, women that actually make their own money. So it's different if you even give it willingly. I don't know why you would do that, but if you do it willingly, fine. But there are women who are made to do it. They're compelled. Perhaps, I'm sure you've seen the stories online. Women who were taken abroad by their husbands and became nurses, and the husband feel because they took them abroad and they got a job, he's entitled to her salary.
All the money.
So so that's an example of financial control. Then we have reproductive coercion. Women who are forced to have abortions. You are married to your husband and he feels he doesn't want to have more children, and you got pregnant for him, and then he says no, and then you don't want to have the abortion, but he makes you have it. So that's reproductive coercion. Or women who say, okay, I don't want to have more children, and your husband, this is very common. I don't want to have any more children, and the husband insists you cannot do birth control, even if it means you should give birth every year. So there are women who are like that. They cannot do family planning, they cannot go to the clinic, and there are even women who are made to give birth at home, not because the husband cannot pay a small hospital bill. No, his grandmother did it, his mother did it, why should you go to the hospital? And this happens a lot. So this is an example of reproductive coercion. We also have manipulation, emotional manipulation. When you are made to feel, see, nobody loves you, nobody can love. In fact, this is a very common statement I hear from women. Nobody will take you. If I leave you, nobody will take you. So a woman is told that over and over again. Who are you? Nothing. Me, I just managed you. So imagine a woman who is told this over and over again for years. It will lower her self-esteem. Now, this is the connection between covert abuse and mental health. You are told every day, you're nothing. Nobody will love you. I'm just managing you. If I leave you, nobody will carry you. So this is, again, one of the reasons why women remain in toxic relationships. So this emotional abuse goes on, everything you do, demeaning remarks about your body, demeaning remarks about your achievements, downplay what you achieve, And then we have the psychological abuse as well, and social abuse. We were talking about it just before we started the show. Example of social abuse. There are men who track their wives.
Track?
Yeah, they track their cars. First of all, he buys you a car and he buys it in his name.
Yes.
That one is a different matter. In fact, I think we had a debate about that sometime in one of my trainings.
I had the experience.
So you want to buy your wife a car, and then you buy the car with your name on it.
No,
and then she's not supposed. Yes.
No, but sweetie, they give you the name. Yeah. They give you the thing in your name, but it's not in your name.
How?
Okay, there could be 2 papers.
It happened to me.
Really?
It did. It did, because because he wants to control you. You can't talk to anybody. You can't do this. You can't do that. Okay, because he saw you with somebody, he needed to take the car back. It was when the taking of the car back that came, that was when we now realized that
there were 2 papers.
The real papers
wow.
were in his name, in my name.
Wow.
So you see, and guess what? This thing happened like some 30 years ago.
But it's still in your head.
Look, you have to, I think I learned so early in life to know that I had to checkmate my life, and I had to put myself, my head in one place, because I just realized that all the things I read in MMB was just a novel. The real life was different. Yeah, Mills and Boone was just a novel, you know.
All right,
yeah.
let's touch base with the AIG with us. Would like to know, really. I know that the violent abuse, the physical abuse, is pretty known, and for women, even when we get raped, we don't want to go to police to report because we feel we will not be taken care of. They will ask you, where to carry you go there? Which clothes will you wear? You know, all those kind of a thing. This is for the thing that is on the outside. Husband beats you, they'll tell you, hey, is it not your husband? You know, now your property. Now, the covert one that is not even obvious, and I'm losing weight because of what I'm thinking. Can I go to the police station? What is there for me? Can I seek redress?
Thank you very much. I laugh because I don't know if we're talking about the 19-what police. The police of today, I don't think you go to the police today and the police would ask you what kind of, you are raped and what kind of dress you're wearing. There has been a lot of reform, especially under the current Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Egbetokun. He has been very intentional about police response to gender-based issues that has to do with gender-based violence against women and girls and even boys. And it's also good to know that we have designated gender desk officers in all the 36 states of the Federation. They are well trained, they are highly experienced, and recently, just about 2 months ago, the Inspector General of Police also expanded the desk office to the divisional level. All this is an effort to have prompt response to survivors of gender-based violence. And in addition to that also, the IGP has been very intentional in ensuring that police, not just the gender desk officers, but that issues of gender is infused right into our training institution. He has approved the inclusion of gender training right from police colleges and police academy. We have just developed a standard operating procedure for police response to gender-based violence, and we also have a training manual for police response to gender-based violence, and also gender perspective into all training. I think the police of today is not the police of those days that will ask you what kind of dress, or was it in his house that you were raped, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of intentional reform to ensure that the Nigerian police is gender responsive in all its interaction with the society, and also just not outside, but also within the Nigerian police force. So I can assure you that you are free. If you have cases, you can come over to any of our police stations or the state commands. We have designated desk to handle such issues.
Thank you very much, Ma. Just before I give you a breather, let me take a message. Somebody is asking, good morning, Maz and the AIG. It's nice watching conversation today. I'd like to know, is there a police speed number to reach if a woman is in trouble at any point?
Absolutely, there is. In each of the states, as I said, we have a designated desk. An officer is designated just to respond to cases of gender-based violence, and each state command have their own response numbers, the way they design how they reach, and the same thing also at the FCT and the force headquarters level. That's in Area 10, where we have a deputy commissioner of police that is also in charge of our gender issues in terms of investigation of cases that deal with gender issues. Yes.
All right. Now, I would like to ask also, if I call the general emergency number, which is 121, can they also connect me to the police? You know, in case the number of the police is too lengthy for me, like if it's 10 numbers or 11 numbers, can I use the 121, which is the general number for emergency in Nigeria?
I am not too sure, because you see, the 121 is not a dedicated police number. Okay. But we have something. It might be long, but I think it's good you save all those numbers on your phone also.
It's important. We'll probably have to share it on our social media pages for people to, you know, get to those who don't have it. But then I would like to go to, you know, Devon, because you've been in your comfort zone for too long. You're not in a lecture. I see you. You know, gaslighting.
I'm listening intently.
Gaslighting is one language I learned recently, by the way. I don't know how many of us knew about gaslighting 20 years back. When did you learn it?
I think maybe like 10 years ago.
I learned it like 5 years ago.
I think, same here,
5
6 years ago.
It's very fresh in my head. In fact, when I heard it the first time, I went to near my cooking gas to check if it had something to do with it. Gaslighting, you know, it's a pretty a familiar terms, especially with the Gen Zs. You are a mother, and I know that within the homes, these things will come up. How do we, you know, use gaslighting intentionally or not to, you know, covertly abuse our family members?
The truth is, till now, I'm not certain what that word means, what the term means. So I don't really, I just know that it's a buzzword. All of a sudden, it's all over the place. Like the term narcissistic. Nowadays, everybody that is doing something that is not in tandem with what other people want is narcissistic, or is a narcissist, and all of this. But at least with narcissism, I've come across the term before. I know what it is, but I don't really know what the term gaslighting means. But I do know that when it comes to covert abuse, I think in many instances, yes, there could be somebody who is more abusive, but I also think that sometimes other people who are on the receiving end of that abuse in one circumstance might be dishing it out elsewhere.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yes, maybe knowingly or unknowingly.
Like transfer aggression.
Transferred aggression.
Oh, wow.
You understand? That's what I'm thinking. You know, and but there was also something I was trying to say with regard to the question you put to the AIG. You know, you asked that even with, you know, the abuse, the kind of abuse that is overt, the one that we see, people have difficulty at the police station. How would somebody be able to report covert abuse? And I think that that would be particularly difficult for the police to deal with, because it becomes a question of he said, she said. Yeah. The police, as far as I know, the justice system works with evidence, you know. So, and we've all agreed that this covert abuse might not necessarily be verbal. It could just be emotional, psychological. So, I would just want to suggest that usually before you get to the point of psychological or emotional abuse, it's probably being verbalized. Okay. It's probably being thrown at you in a verbal form. If it is consistent and it is so terrible, maybe it would not be out of place to at least record that you are constantly being verbally abused. In our culture, we don't see verbal abuse as a big deal. Yeah. Parents verbally abuse children consistently under the guise of home training. And somebody who has grown up thinking that verbal abuse is the way to repair things will probably also do it to their spouse. Sometimes it's the woman to the man or the man to the woman. So, but if the verbal abuse has gotten to that point where you are even losing confidence in your capacity to do anything, it may not be out of place to record like 5 or 6, at least have something that when you go to the police or to this NGO or that NGO that you need help from, you'll be able to play back and say, this is proof of what I'm talking about.
You know, I've always heard again that recording somebody without permission is not okay. It's against the law. But let's go back to AIG to answer it.
So how do you get the evidence or the proof?
AIG man, would like to know if somebody is constantly abusing me. It could be in my office. It could be at home, it could be in the church, it happens everywhere. Can I document the person? Can I also record the person as evidence so that I see something to bring to your table, the desk, the gender desk? Is it okay?
Yes, it is okay, of course, yes. Because just Devan said, for you to get justice, if you have to go to court, you need to show evidence. And that is why it is very difficult to handle cases of covert abuse, because they are non-physical behaviors. And as the coach also said, sometimes even the person that's abusing or being abused does not even understand that she or he is being abused. And for police is usually like a doctor, really, because you need to complain first and foremost. You need to tell the doctor that you have a headache. So also you have to incident your case to report to the police. Police will not work and say, oh, I think you are being abused, like somebody is collecting all your earnings and so on and so forth. So first and foremost, we need to understand that we are the survivor or the victim herself need to know that, yes, I'm being abused. I watch, like my sister was saying, how would you give somebody a salary? I saw recently, just about a few weeks back, a video that was trending. An elderly person was talking about how respectful his wife is, who has been to him for 40 years, 50 years. And all the time she was working, when she collects her salary, she'll come and kneel down and hand over the salary to me. So in that case, how will police, if she feels she's happy doing it? And of course, I saw that the man was happy to show that their wife is a very obedient person. But then the police cannot go at that particular time. If you don't feel that to go and report that he is forcing you to collect the money, then you'll be able to handle it. In that case, you can't walk in and say, oh, I think your husband is abusing you. So there has to be a lot of sensitization for people to understand that the abuse, and then maybe when we come to recommendation, maybe I'll be able to say one or two things that we need to do to also help the police help the survivors or the victims of covert abuse.
If I may come in on this whole business of handing over salary. Yes, I know that. I think that there are some women who are so insecure that they feel that that is the best way. That is one way to keep the man around.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay, they are paying the man to stay.
No,
yes.
not necessarily.
Well, I don't know why, but I know that there are women who have put that thing on themselves. It's not the man that maybe brought it up for the first time. They were the ones that chose to do it. Maybe they think it's a form of submission or whatever. They think that it's a good incentive to make the man stick around. It may have been some kind of stupid thing they started doing while they were dating. You know, in our culture, a man dates 6, 7, 8 women at the same time, and sometimes will throw them in your face. There might be that one woman that will feel, okay, how will I stand out? Okay, let me be handing over my money to him. And then before you know, it's not just a pattern, it has become the culture of that relationship.
Might I add quickly, please? You see, as much as I agree to an extent with Devon, there are actually women out there, good women, better women. It's not because they're insecure, but they kind of believe that their husband is their king. I've heard many women say, my king, and they don't see it as, they're not trying to keep him. They just feel it's their duty as a wife to be submissive and give the money to him. And I think that's why it's a bit dicey here. I've had a few cases where people say it's abuse. I say it's abuse if she is being forced to do it. It's not abuse if you decide, he didn't ask you to give him your money. Exactly. You feel this is being a good wife and you give him your money, and then he gives you a part of it because you really don't need much, perhaps. So it's actually okay.
Excuse me.
But you see, I feel as if a good man.
Excuse me.
Who does, like, okay, if the man is not earning and you want to cover, that's different.
No, they're earning.
But this man is earning good money.
Yes.
And then you come with, let's say he's earning, maybe he's run his own thing, and every now and then he is earning in like 9 figures and all. Then you come with your techere 6-figure thing and come and give him. If I'm the man just to make you feel comfortable, I'll take 5,000 naira from inside, put credit in my phone, and give you the rest back. That's what a good man would do. So collect the entire sum. You're a wicked person.
This one we are talking about. I don't really agree. Sorry. I don't really necessarily agree that that's a wicked person. You see, we're talking about men. No, listen. Just listen. There are men out there who just feel they need to have control. So when he takes the money, it's not that he doesn't take care of his wife. He may even spend 10 times of that her salary on her.
Okay, now
you understand?
That's
but it's just a feeling.
Yeah.
So there are men like that. Yes,
that's understandable because most of the time, these men say, "My mother didn't complain."
Yes.
Is that thing I don't want to hear.
And I'm not your mother. And I'm not your mother.
Your mother, my mother didn't complain. Okay, but she didn't see anything wrong with that. So what is it? Okay, imagine the one that just blows my head is a man buys a land and the woman builds on the house on the land. Then when the fight starts, how do you take that house? It's happening, my darling, it's happening over and over. And when you divorce the man, because there was this story where the man was dating somebody and the man took her to the police station for her to be arrested. I couldn't get it.
All right, let's Fatima come in on this. Fatima, you were going to talk about the money submission.
Yes, I was going to add to that. I'm like, you don't have to be forced to hand over that money. If you have somebody who, I say lazy, because if he doesn't get up to go find food for his family, he's lazy, both mentally and physically. Period. If you go out and look for money and your man is at home, he's lazy. And that is a form of abuse if you have to do everything by yourself. I mean, how is it? It's a partnership. Both of you, we know the economy is not smiling at anybody. Both of you have to contribute to keep the home. But when it is left for one person to do everything, that is abuse. You can't tell me otherwise. And then women have this very high sense of responsibility that you cannot let your children go to bed hungry. So you take it upon yourself to do everything when the man is just sleeping. And then for divorced women, I think the justice system has failed us. Yes, because, I mean, how is it that you go to court, they, tell him how much, they even ask him how much he's willing to be giving as
willing, not that he's mandated. No, willing.
Not mandated. They ask him how much he's able to give. And they peg it at that. That is what happens. He's not mandated to pay what he is supposed to pay. There's number of children. Nobody even looks at that. He is asked how much he is able to pay. So the rest is left for you to go sort it out yourself.
Fatima, I'll still on you. Somebody is writing here. She didn't say where from she's writing. She says, good morning to you all. I'm a single mother. People abuse me because they think if you have a child when you're not married, it means you're not valuable. Please, I want you to encourage me. What do you say to such a person? Because you just talked about divorce now into this.
Yes, there's divorce, there's having children outside of marriage. But, everything goes back to the women. Yeah. Because we are the ones that are highly responsible for children. So we have to have mechanisms where we block it all off. Agree. Hearing all of these things, even in the office, I tell you, a woman cannot rise to the top and you'll keep hearing she used bottom power. Yeah. So it's like we don't have brains or we cannot compete with men. Is that it? Do we have to use anything to get to the top? So you have to develop some blocking mechanisms such that you're not hearing anything what anybody is saying. You have to create boundaries. Who is accessible to you? Yeah. Who are you available to? You have to just keep your head up and keep moving.
That's a good one.
My darling, you see, our environment is sort of different. I see some things abroad and it saddens my heart. Because the woman is earning more than the man, when they go their separate ways, you have to pay the man.
Yes.
I have wondered, and I just can't understand why it's like that, you know, because I have worked it. This is my stuff. I earned it. So sometimes I used to wonder, why do I have to give what I earn to the man? And you know, situations have been that, okay, you gave the man, then later the man now comes back and says, okay, I was silly. I want to have you back. And I'm sitting down, some people are considering to have them back after they had already paid this man. So I think most of the time, I think the women are kind of insecure.
You know, you're talking about men, and I'm going to read a particular message from Prince.
Okay.
Prince says he's writing from Apo. He says, good morning. Please throw more light on men who are abused too.
Yeah.
There are men who are abused at home, for instance, being threatened of leaving the marriage. Please, men also are more abused these days. Please say something. And I think Coach Didi, that's your game.
Yeah, it's true, to be honest. And I'm so sorry, Prince, but we are focusing more. But this is a women's show anyway, so our focus is women. But you're right. Women are actually sometimes the abusers, not the victims. So it's a two-way thing.
Even kids
We have
abuse.
women who abuse men, and then, of course, men who abuse women. But whether or not more men are abused, I don't agree with that. Because to be honest, the way the system is even fashioned, men have more power.
Exactly.
The culture also gives all the power to the men. This is patriarchy. So more women, to be honest, are more abused than men. But it's really true. There are women who do actually perpetrate the abuse.
They even beat them.
Okay,
Yes.
we still have more of this, protest against men. Good morning to you all in the studio. I am not supporting abuse to women, but all the same, my concern is, why is every show and podcast about women? Who is speaking for the men? A lot of men are facing so much abuse, assault, and more yet. It's just about women, and women. This is the reason you go to the, okay, he did not complete his sentence here, and we don't know where he's writing from. But then maybe another time, we actually mentioned that we would like to talk about the boy child,
yes,
right in this studio. But then for today, we're looking at mostly covert abuse on the women and the girl child. Yeah, we're going to say something?
Yes, I was going to say we've talked about financial abuse extensively. We've also talked about
reproductive coercion.
Reproductive coercion we've touched on. Then I think silence. Silence can be weaponized.
That's emotional manipulation.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not certain of the term. Circumstances where maybe a couple has had maybe some kind of issues, and one person now becomes non-communicative.
Yeah.
I'm struggling for the words here. And sometimes this can last months. You know? Yes.
No, they're not on talking terms.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I mean like
they're
talking.
Hello, good morning,
They're talking very monosyllabic.
Yes.
Nothing, no deep conversation. Sometimes the person who is on the receiving end of the silence doesn't even know what they've done wrong. They just know that they wake up and all of a sudden the spouse is cold. Yeah, that's the word, And I think many people don't realize how abusive it is.
Yeah.
Because I feel as if communication is one of the strongest cords that ties two people together.
I agree.
I don't see anything wrong with telling a person, listen, this thing you did, I don't like it. It also happened a couple of months ago, and last year again you did it, and it's really wearing me down. It's something I really need you to address and stop doing, rather than, just going into a funk and stop talking to the person, and you leave the person stumbling around in the dark. They're not certain. They're thinking, was it this? Was it that? Is it even me? Is it something from outside? And I don't think many people realize how much damage that can cause to the person who is on the receiving end of the silence or the cold treatment.
I agree.
Can I quickly add something, please? You see, I love what Devon said, and I've had a situation whereby somebody had brought that up, but that is also two-sided.
Okay.
We've had situations where people become cold, as you call it, or just become numb as a response to abuse.
Okay. So
Yes.
I'd rather walk away.
Because it's easier to do that than to walk away. Because you see, for many women who are living in loveless marriages, which is basically what is happening most of the time, this abuse goes on and on, and especially in toxic relationships. You've talked about it, you've cried about it, you've begged about it. One day, you just go numb.
Just go numb.
You say absolutely nothing. So that also happens.
All right, we're going to go to the AIG for recommendations before we wrap up. But somebody is sending a message and said, please, good morning, throw more light on what I should do, because my wife keeps cheating on me each time I travel. He didn't write his name, but he said he lives in Maraba. That's not good. That's not good. So if your wife is cheating on you, there must be a reason. I mean, they should sit down and discuss it.
And then again, it's so easy. It's so easy to toss that out, because that's the fastest way to throw a woman under the bus.
Thank you.
I agree.
This person that is saying his wife is cheating,
have you ever
if
cheated?
you ask him now to give you something cogent,
he doesn't have.
Like, maybe, do you have 3 or 4 neighbors that have told you that when you travel, she sleeps outside, or somebody comes and stays at unholy hours? No, it's all in the person's mind. And it's usually wrapped around what the person is doing when they themselves are not home. And they assume that this person that is traveling frequently, is it possible for him to travel with his wife? That will also help
you've gone far. You've gone far. Let us ask him. Have you also not cheated?
Is it like, if I say that, it will sound as if I'm saying that it's okay for her to cheat?
No, it's okay.
Let's not throw him out. He has something that is explaining him.
So because they always tell you that he's a man.
Let him have a conversation with the wife, because if a woman is cheating, there is a reason. Find out the reason.
You tell her to leave.
Okay, so let's go to the AIG to find out. Ma, would like to know, what are the recommendations to ensure that we stay above board with covert abuse, or even any kind of abuse? And what are the red flags we should watch out? And, you know, what is the first step to take to ensure that we're protected?
Well, thank you very much. As I said earlier, covert abuse is sometimes not recognized, or even if it is recognized, it is very difficult for law enforcement to deal with it. So we need a lot of sensitization, public sensitization, so that people will understand. Because at times you are being abused, you don't know you are being abused. So let people also understand, what does it mean by abuse, either psychologically or emotionally. Then the second thing is policy reform. I think we need to look at a situation whereby we expand the definition of abuse. Because if we do that, our laws recognizes certain emotional or psychological behaviors to define them as abuse, then the law enforcement will be able to now deal with it, handle it, and you will get justice. Because we are called law enforcement, right? There has to be a law before you can enforce it. So if we expand the definition of abuse, look at our policies and include certain behaviors as to mean abuse, then you know that when you behave in such a manner that is defined as abuse, then we'll be able to enforce that law to get justice for the victim. Another thing is collaboration with because for instance, when you can collaborate with other agencies, like if, let's say, police is able to collaborate effectively with even the medical health services and so on and so forth, from maybe a patient comes to the hospital, and from your conversation, you're able to identify that this particular person is going through a psychological or emotional abuse, then with that collaboration, you will be able to report and alert the police that so person is going through abuse. I think these are some of the things that we definitely need to do, and also enhance our communication skills and the capacity building for us. Recently, I think, was it last month, Fatima, we had this conversation, like a workshop with Coach Didi on covert identifying hidden abuse. And with that, we looked at so many instances, and we believe that there is need for us to keep having the conversation, build capacity. And this one has also raised or ignited something in my head, and I think we also need to expand the capacity building for our gender desk officers to be able to also be aware of this hidden abuse and effectively communicate with some of our victims or survivors of abuse that comes to the police, so that we'll be able to help them and give them support. So these are some of the things that I think if we're able to do, then we should be able to handle cases of hidden abuse.
Thank you very much. I'll quickly touch base with Fatima.
Yeah.
Quickly, Fatima, what are your recommendations on safeguarding ourselves financially to avoid abuse in a very quick way?
Yeah. Like I said earlier, being financially independent does not prevent you from being abused, but it gives you options.
Yeah.
You have many options when you are financially independent. And I love what my sister said about expanding the definition of abuse, because even if the courts give you the rights, enforcing that these rights, are being applied is something else that we need to look at. And then keeping the conversations going. Many people do not know what this means. But then having these conversations from time to time, periodically, teaching our girls about self-worth right from the cradle, it's very, very important. One last word, woman, whatever you do, do not allow yourself to be poor.
All right, thank you very much. Joy, your passing words?
I think we should be able to live our lives not letting anybody bring you down. You hold yourself, because when people know that you can hold yourself, they will think twice before they now want to deal with you.
All right, true.
So I will go on what Joyce said. So if they do bring you down,
Yeah.
try and get back up.
Yeah.
All right, Devon?
And I would say communication is key. If you're struggling with so much in the marriage, instead of going cold, if you've gotten to that point where you feel that the only option left is to go cold or numb, maybe you should consider exiting the marriage. But if you're still in the marriage, just keep communicating, keep communicating, keep communicating.
All right, I'll just take a minute to see if we can take some of the messages, because there's so many of them. Your program is very intelligent, driving, and please carry on. Nigerian women need updates. Togo from Cross River State. Thank you very much, Togo. And this person says, good morning. I've known a couple where the female was abused, but turned out she was a masochist. Okay. Should I still report the abuse or not? Please report.
Okay.
Every human being is a human being. Male or female is a human being. We must protect them. Good morning. Men are abused verbally, emotionally, and stigmatized, which causes low self-esteem and result to suicide, especially when the women are in a better position. Thank you, Dr. Stella Atim from Makurdi. Thank you very much. I'm glad that a lot of people are supporting men. That's nice. Good morning, beautiful ladies. Please, my question is, would a woman that hand over her salary to her husband, will she be able to take the proper care of her old age parents? Well, I don't know. The woman is not here. I single-handedly trained my 3 children to university level because my husband had no job for 20 years. He didn't appreciate everything I did. He is late now. I just encourage myself in the Lord, which is the way it should be. Thank you so much for joining. Whatever you do, the Bible, and I also know the Quran has it. It says, do unto others what you like others to do unto you. That's my final word. Bye.
Bye.